Hey everyone, welcome to another Friday night. Monday night, Friday night. I'm sorry. It's been one of those weeks. Last week was one of those weeks, but it is Monday night. You're in Axanar Confidential number 19, and I have a special guest for you today. One of my favorite people, and I'm going to embarrass him by telling him how great it is. And here he is, Eric Henry. And Eric, I want to say I discovered Eric. Eric. You were in Japan when we first talked, right?
I think so.
And you
Yeah,
were in college when we first talked,
that's
right?
right.
And
Yep.
I don't know. Remind me what I saw. I saw your stuff. Did you contact me, or I saw your stuff and contacted you? How did
Oh
we meet?
man, that was so long ago. Such a mixed up part of life that I can't really remember who contacted who, but it was quite a fortuitous little happenstance.
Yeah, and I loved your stuff, and you started doing. And this is for everyone. I think a lot of AXA fans know this is Pee Wee, one of our rescues, and Pee Wee's been hanging around while I've been setting up. But I saw your stuff, and you started doing some concept art, and your stuff was just amazing. And we're going to show two different groups of stuff here. The stuff we're looking at now is the bridge concept work you did, and this one I love especially because I love the separations between the different consoles, and it's something we just talked about the other day, and here we are. And early on we talked about the three stations in the bridge, and you just took that and ran with it. And here's another concept where the dividers are smaller and thinner. I love all the handholds you have everywhere. Tell us about what you did when you were working on the bridge here.
Well, obviously the limitation was it had to be built onto the existing TOS set. So I loaded up a TOS set and just thought, what can you do with this? And part of it is kind of adding detail that didn't exist because I think there's kind of this misconception that the original set, there's like some deficiency with the original design, and that's not true. But when you're making a widescreen HD presentation, you kind of want to even a relatively strong visual design needs complexity. At least that's what I thought. So I started going about, adding like the dividers and the handrails and that kind of stuff because I felt, if you can kind of functionalize the shape, it kind of justifies why it looks that way. And then obviously completely redesigned the pit because I felt like we could, the outer consoles, you can't move those, but the inner pit, you can do anything you want with the handrails and the consoles there and the steps and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think early on we always wanted to be able to move the bridge between a TOS set and an Ares bridge, and that didn't become practical. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
yeah. After you think about it, you go, no, that's just like way too much work. What I really like here is I like the platform that the captain's chair was on too. How you made it wider and triangular. We didn't do that,
Right.
and I don't really remember my conversations with Dean why we didn't do that. It might have been it was just too big a piece to actually execute, but I really like
Hmm.
that. Here's the first view of one of the forward consoles. This I guess is tactical, and we really didn't have a direction for the console itself and all, but
Right.
nonetheless, I mean, I really thought all your stuff was really strong. Here, I really like the deck plating that you have all around, and those big beefy dividers. If we could just make those, so you could move, pop them in and pop them out, I think it'd be great. And it's still something I love. And actually, this is something that they had on the TOS Enterprise in Discovery.
Yeah, I noticed that that looked immediately like,
I was like,
oh,
oh, one more thing that
yeah.
they copied. Well, and listen, I've got to tell you, and hi to all our fans uh, who are out there. I see our regulars are all in the audience. Thank you, thank you. There's Trey from Axar Comics. Thank you for showing up as always. And so I have a friend who shall remain nameless who has spent a lot of time on Discovery set, and
Uh,
and I got a lot of inside information. And one of the things he told me was everyone up there knows about Axanar.
Interesting.
He said, "Oh yeah, they all know about Axanar." So
Hmm.
I think that's really interesting, and we don't. We certainly, it would be nice if someone up there sent us an email and said, "Dude, I love your stuff. You guys are great. We're gonna steal Eric Henry's bridge stuff." And I listen. If that, I would say, go for it, guys. Right? I mean, it's like, oh, Klingon War. Oh, the Shinzu looks like the Ares. Oh, look, I am not one. It's not our IP in the first place, right?
Hmm.
And they can steal all they want from us. I mean, and it's not even stealing. That's the wrong word.
Yeah.
It's influence, right? If they
Yeah.
look at Axanar and go, "Oh, I like what those guys did here." Well, that's what we've done, right? I
It's
mean,
true.
right? You and I, when you and I talk, we're like, "Oh, I like this over here," and I have all the folders which I didn't copy, which were all the concept art. It's like for the Ares. People say, "Oh, the Shinzu was a copy of the Ares." No, you know what? First of all, the Ares copied the Mawson and it copied the Centaur. When I was working on that shit with Sean Tarnjo, I was sending him all these photos. I was saying, I like it. I like underslung nacelles and here and here and here. So like we ripped off John Eves. So if they want to rip us off back, it's all one big universe, right? It's just
Yeah.
influence, right? I say stealing and ripping off, and I use those terms, in a casual, colloquial way, but it's really what do we like and what do we want to take and run with. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so anyway, I'm a big fan of the second season of Discovery, and yeah, what was your take on Discovery?
Like how reimaginative it is. Because personally, like if I were to make Star Trek, I would reimagine quite a lot. Maybe a little more conservatively than they did. I mean, if you look at my work on Pacific 201, like people ask me questions all the time, like why this looks a certain way when canonically it looks that way, and I'm like, I really don't care that much. Like, I mean, I do care about Star Trek canon, but like when I'm constructing a world visually, like I'm completely comfortable with reimagining visual elements, and I think I respect that they're not super uh, beholden to the original designs. And I think that's very well executed in some places. Like the Andorians look really good. The Enterprise bridge, the Enterprise looks really good in Discovery. So there are definitely like very strong elements that you get from that mentality. Um, in general, if I had any gripes about Discovery, I think it comes down to kind of a lack of a unified vision for what Discovery should be. I feel like each season so far like changes several times what they wanted to get out of the show. Um, like season one started a very particular way, and then it became something kind of different, and then it ended in a different way again, and then season two kind of had the same thing. I thought season two was significantly stronger than one, but
Oh yeah,
season two,
yeah, I
both
agree.
seasons so far are kind of afflicted by a lack of focus, and I think that probably comes down to the fact that they keep changing showrunners and
Yes,
like,
exactly. The writers keep changing. The writing room
yeah,
keeps changing. The showrunners keep changing. Well,
yeah,
of course it's going to have an impact on your show. And now
yeah,
I hear Alex Kurtzman. I mean, Midnight Edge is reporting off Doomcock and Neurotics reporting that Alex Kurtzman is out.
mm,
They're like, well,
interesting.
the interesting thing is they have, and first of all, Michael Cannell, at 4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Michael C from Silicon Valley. Great, fantastic artwork, he says. So thank you very much, sir. And Herb Bluntman says if ST Disco had been set 100 years after the events of TNG, would it have been okay? Yeah, it would have been okay with me because that's the way it looks, right? I'm a purist, so I think there's things you could do, and then I think reimagining becomes an alternate universe. This has been my big take. Asa Thurston says, Alec, is that a green screen? Yes, it is a green screen. Thank you to Trey McElween, who showed me how to use a green screen. He's the one that really taught me everything here on OBS on how to do it. Raymond Moore says, Alec, the Star Appreciation Society Facebook page is online. Okay, send me a link. Val says Alex Kurtzman should be strung up by his cojones. Okay, that's Val. Behave, Val. That's a little strong. Here's I'm with you, Eric. Everything you said, I echo. As everyone here knows, my only gripe is that they didn't say it was like an alternate universe, like JJ did, right? When JJ did, I was like, you are clear to do whatever the hell you want with that universe. And trying to say, well, it's just a visual update. That doesn't work when, and especially in the episode, the flashback episode in season 2 with the Cage episode, they're showing those clips and I'm going, yeah, this is why it doesn't work. I mean, it's 50 years. Those two are 53 years apart, 54 years apart, and that's what I think, we've tried to do. And I think you did a brilliant job executing, was kind of updating the TOS set. So you look at it and you go, TOS, but we're not beholden to toggle switches and.
Sure. I don't think that the TOS designs need redesigning so much as they need justification. Like you can create a world wherein the TOS designs make sense. And that's, again, going back to Pacific 201, something I've tried to do with those designs is I've tried to create a believable futuristic design that also somehow feels more primitive than TOS. Right. In such a way that the primitive designs of TOS actually look ergonomic and futuristic. Like, oh, they got rid of those elements and now they can, do X and Y. And it's like, you can do that pretty easily. And again, a lot of it comes down to just the level of detail. Like you can take the exact same form and, subtly, the materials and just how close you can get the camera to it. In such a way that it suddenly looks completely new. And Enterprise did that with the Mirror Universe episodes in season 4, where you don't realize it, but the TOS sets are very different if you put them side by side. I mean, they're the same shape, but you can get a lot closer to them. The edges are a little rounded. The lighting is different. Some of the hard angles have been smoothed. There's some borders added and panel lines added, and your brain accepts it completely because that's exactly how you remember it, but it doesn't actually match up side by side perfectly. And I think you could take that even a little further and you can still have an authentic TOS universe that is significantly more canonical, and you don't lose hardly anything. Then it just comes down to lighting and how you shoot it.
Yeah, I agree. When we first started the concept work on the bridge, before you even came on, Darren Doctorman did some stuff for us, and he did a really cool. He just took a photo and he just kind of made some adjustments, and it looked cool. He was really taking it back 20 years before TOS, and it looked like you were going back, and I'm like, the only problem with this is this direction he was going. So in this, like, goosenecks would have been futuristic in this design that he did. I'm like, but then 20 years before that is like Flash Gordon, and that's not the universe. That doesn't work, right? So I think that I'm with you, and I think it's just minor tweaking. It's like that's where it's, because I'm totally cool with the Enterprise. One of the interesting things was there was in the Romulan War novels for Enterprise, in the Enterprise novel series, I think it was 2 books they did on the Romulan War, and they basically use the whole Romulan telepresence hacking situation to justify the TOS ergonomics and electronics. They basically said, oh, we're so advanced here, we need to backtrack and make it really, really simple, and so that they can't. I mean, it was basically that was taking the whole Battlestar Galactica from the new Battlestar Galactica idea. They were basically saying, oh, We can't be the Pegasus. We need to be the Galactica. We can't be digital. We need to be analog, right?
Right.
And I was like, okay, I get it. But
Yeah.
I'm cool with the Enterprise with NX-01. I'm cool with all those designs and all what Drexler and those guys did. I was like, oh, okay, this looks like 100 years before TOS or whatever it was. So, okay. So here are all the bridge stuff that we've been looking at, and I love this stuff. It looks fantastic. Now we're going to move on, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go. Oh, yeah, I do want to show the video that you did. Okay, here's the video you did that shows you just did a little animatic 3D of the bridge.
Yeah, really, really basic 3D turnaround.
Yeah, but it looks great. Nonetheless, we don't have anything, so for us, that was like, whoa.
I tried to add some dynamic lighting and stuff like that, and that was back when I wanted to put the war room set right off the bridge.
Right. Oh, God, we had some great scenes for the war room. There's the war room to there that you see there. That would have been great. That would have been really exciting because there were some great scenes that were going to be filmed in the war room. One scene at the end where they're planning the battle was filmed there, so it was really, really awesome. Okay, so we're up to 62. Hey, listen, all of you fans out there who we love, you guys are awesome. A couple little footnotes here. One, punch that thumbs up button. Let's go. We only have 28 thumbs up, but we have 62 of you watching. So Pee-wee is going to be really angry if you're not punching the thumbs up button. So you can see he's looking a little stern right now. So, right, Pee-wee? Oh, there you go. Thank you. Now we're getting, okay, Pee-wee's getting tangled up in there we go. All right, there. Look at you guys, up to 44 now. I love it. You guys are the best. So always do that. So we got one thumbs down. I'm like, who's the guy who gave us a thumbs down? What, he doesn't like Axanar? Come on. Michael Sean Carter says, so the view screen on the bridge, LED or plasma, or green screen, right? It's probably green screen is what we're talking about right now. Jafam says, why is it no one on the bridge has any hair? Have they not cured baldness in the future? That's for you, Eric. Go ahead. Tell them why.
That was just the mock-up human scale model that I had, and I used it. So,
which you added an Ares uniform, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I did a little bit of tweaking to it to make it fit. Just like a boring gray human figure wasn't cutting it.
And here we have the Blue Man Group on the bridge. And Michael Weir, $10 super chat. Michael, thank you very much. Michael is one of our mainstays. He is an admiral, one of our two admirals in the Patreon campaign. The two Michaels, Michael Weir and Michael S. Carter. Michael Sean Carter here. So thank you guys. Yeah, listen, got to do the ad for the Patreon campaign. If you are not on the Patreon campaign, please join up. You support the bridge. You pay the rent. And we got some big news coming on that. We're going to let you. Hopefully, I just need confirmation before I tell you all. But I'm really, really excited about that one. So that's good. All right, now let's move on. We are going to move on to props. And you did some stellar work here. And let me see. And why don't you go? I'm not going to talk over this. Why don't you talk over this and tell us a little bit about these props and what we're seeing and your ideas behind all of them?
Sure. Well, with especially with the props where I had a little more freedom with how to design them, my biggest goal was, again, justifying the original series. Like, the tricorders in the original series are very bulky, kind of goofy contraptions. Now, if you really, really think about it, the sorts of abilities that a tricorder has, like, we still don't have that. So we can't really imagine what the device ought to look like. But our concept of a sci-fi handheld device is not what it was in 1966. So my thought was, okay, well, how about we take the basic form and function of a tricorder and make it look more primitive, but you can still do a sharp design in that respect. So I actually looked at like really kind of robust police radio designs for the tricorder, some of which had like these like almost like roll cages around them, and I don't know, that look really appealed to me. So I designed the tricorder with like a roll cage around it because I was like thinking it's this really sensitive electronic equipment. It's not just some thing,
Yeah,
it's
well,
not just,
it definitely has a beefier feel, and I'm sorry, I unfortunately the software just runs through the photos. You can't really stop it
yeah.
at any one time. So we'll go through it. But yeah, no, I love your tricorders, the tricorder stuff you did. But it really feels. It looks like something from the '60s actually, but it looks very sturdy and util as opposed to the TOS tricorders, which
Well,
look
that's the
like
thing is
fashion accessories.
now the TOS tricorders look like sleek and futuristic compared to the very like kind of bulky, rugged design of the older tricorders, which also fits the kind of wartime narrative of Axanar, where everything's kind of sharper and harsher, and less ergonomic than peacetime TOS. And I originally took that approach with the communicators as well. I don't know if we have.
Yeah, they're coming up, and this is one of your second concepts of the tricorder, where you made it a little more futuristic and a little less. And I really love this one. This is just fantastic. This just looks dynamite. It just looks like a tricorder should look, like with the buttons and the dials, but at the same time it looks right. Okay. So now we're going to your communicators. And I know you and I went back and forth on this a lot, and
Yes.
and
Well,
I
I
just
think
love it.
what we finally came to was that you wanted to actually put a smartphone into the prop so that we had an interactive screen. I think that was the point. Maybe I'm completely wrong with that, and I just like
I don't know.
hallucinate. I might have just hallucinated that, and actually I started designing them around iPhones. Because my original communicator prop was really all I did was I made the cover recessed into the body of the communicator. So I basically functionally the same shape, but a very subtle tweak that kind of, I don't know, it differentiates it firstly, but also kind of, I don't know. I don't think it actually makes it any more or less futuristic, but um,
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
that
and here's one here's one of your designs where you
yeah.
integrated both the TOS kind of foil lid with, and it looks amazing. Just right, you totally buy it. I totally buy it. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I think your color scheme was great too. You picked a color scheme and then worked it through the tricorder and the communicator.
My thought was that it was rubberized, like that dark gray is rubberized, and the light gray is like brushed aluminum. I never really communicated that, but I thought it would be cool if there was kind of
Yeah.
a consistent scheme of like, rubberized kind of maybe plastic and then the brushed aluminum. I guess because the cameras I was kind of infatuated with at the time were built the same way. It's a different story, but look up Blackmagic cinema cameras, and they have they have rubberized bodies with brushed aluminum frames, and I thought that was a really cool look and I kind of applied it to the props as well.
You stole it from Black Magic.
Yeah, I did. I stole it.
Awesome. I want to thank B. Winst for his $5 super chat. Or maybe it's a she. I don't know. B. Winst, you need to ask us a question. If you're going to give us $5, thank you. God bless you. But ask us a question, or say something, or just send a shout out or whatever. Wall panel here.
Yeah, that again, that just trying to take, well, with the wall panel, it's a slightly different issue because I feel like even given, I mean, TOS was actually a pretty high budget show for its time, at least at first. But the wall panels always confused me with how much space they wasted. Like, you have this giant red panel with like little tiny instruments on it. There's like two buttons and a little tiny thing. And I thought, okay, let's focus on just the parts that function and squish them together and then put the red border around it. So basically, all it is considerably more compact. It's not really modernized in any way, but it takes up a lot less real estate. And that, in my mind, the set design would be a lot the the detailing on the sets would be a lot more crowded, panels and pipes and handles. And I thought, if you can kind of reduce the real estate that each set dressing element takes up, you can kind of pack in more, and you can keep the same form and function of the original set, but it's a higher level of visual noise that kind of reads like a more modern design.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. The thing I didn't pull out that we'll have to pull out next time you're on is all your hallway stuff. Because your hallway stuff was great, because that was really important that we change the look. And we're talking about shooting on some TOS sets, and if we do that, we need to we need to add those elements to the, especially the hallway. I mean, because there has to be a big differentiator between the hallway of the Constitution class and the Ares, and we want to continue that whole submarine look to the whole thing, that real military thing.
Yeah.
So here's here's one of your passes at the transporter console.
Yeah, that I don't know exactly where in the lineage that was, because we had very radical ones and then very not very radical ones. I think the idea behind this one is that the transporter console in the cage is the helm and navigation console, I think.
Right.
And I thought, okay, I'm gonna take elements from that and elements from the eventual transporter console piece. So I have kind of the shape of the transporter console in TOS proper, and then the central post of the helm console as it appears in the cage.
All right. Yeah, we got to dig all those. As a matter of fact, now that we're sharing a Google Drive, upload whatever you can that you have, because I'll search for all your stuff. But yeah, if you got stuff you can upload too, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because listen, also we're talking about doing the illustrated script. We're talking about the making of Axanar books. So we're talking about a technical manual, a bunch of stuff. So absolutely, we need to have as much.
I might have designs that you didn't see that I just thought were yeah.
Give me.
I think
we love this stuff.
I think I did some Klingon costumes that I just never submitted because you guys were kind of running with
Simon stuff,
which is really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. But I think I unearthed those. I had a drawing in a notebook, and I'm like, why did I have a Klingon uniform? Oh, wait, this is probably for Axanar. So maybe I can send that along your way. I had a cool idea. I'll just say this on the air. I mean, I don't know if I'm breaking my NDA with this, but
no, go for it.
I had a really cool idea for the Klingon commander's baldric, because I always thought that, okay, so we got Klingons, and they've got, I mean, the Romulans are the bird people, but Klingons got associated with birds because of the bird of prey.
Which was supposed to be a Romulan ship.
Right, whatever. But now they both like birds. But I thought it'd be cool. So the Klingon bird of prey is green with like red feather elements on it. And I thought it'd be cool if the bird of prey was actually based on a real bird that was green with red wings.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I thought it'd be cool if the Klingon commander had a baldric with the feathers of the real bird of prey. So he had red and green feathers like going up the baldric. Just an idea I had that I thought, that would be a really unique costume piece that like we've never seen in Star Trek, but like really, really visually sensitive fans would be like, wait a second, that's the bird of prey color scheme, but it's real feathers. So, he went out and hunted the like fearsome, 2-story tall bird of prey that the birds of prey are named after. But
interesting. Okay, I'm finding. What I'm doing now is I'm finding some of your other stuff, and I'm going to upload this here.
Okay.
So we can all share it. I'm just thinking that. Oh my God! I've got all sorts of good stuff from you.
Oh my.
Yes. Okay. I'm just trying to see how much of this is. All right. Well, let's start here. I put it on. It's like magic. I put it on the Google Drive on one computer, and look, it's on the other computer. All right, here we go. So let me just download this, folks, so you can. We're definitely gonna, because we definitely want to look at his the corridor stuff, which is awesome.
Sure. Yeah. which is the same design mentality as the bridge, which was adding stuff to the existing sets.
Yeah, which is stuff, and again, I'm hoping that we can execute on this stuff when we go to use these sets, because I think it'll be a really strong visual element that'll really differentiate it.
Yeah.
And anyway, you still need to come down to the studio, dude.
Yeah. I'll make it happen sometime.
All right. So while this is down, right now it's zipping the folder up and it's going to download it. Tell us, what are you doing now?
Well, I mean, a huge part of my daily life is working on Pacific 201. I really want to get that out in the coming months here.
So how much do you work on that every day?
Well, it varies. Some days I don't work on it, and other days I work on it literally all day. But I would say in general, it's like its own full-time job, plus my real work, and then plus my not real work. And I've basically have the equivalent of like 2.5 full-time jobs between all the different things I have my fingers in. But what I'm focusing on most right now is refining the edit, because everything we've shot is edited. I have a timeline in Adobe Premiere that's the entire movie. You can sit down and watch it. So let that, kind of be tantalizing to all y'all who are following the production. But we actually haven't. It's like a first draft edit, and right now I'm refining the edit. And about 1/3 of the way through the film, refining the edit. And then also working on VFX shots. I'm collaborating with a really cool digital artist, a good friend of mine, Angelos Cartarinis, who is a Greek artist who I've been working on some Star Wars stuff with. He has some Star Wars projects that I've been helping him with. And now he's helping me with my Star Trek project with digital asset creation. So, and I'm working with Tommy Kraft from Star Trek Horizon, who's helping me with some simulations. We have a very simulation-heavy visual effects sequence that involves some pulverizing rocks and stuff, which I can't do. So he's helping me with that. And we've got some shoots coming up because we have some pickups to do, some quick like green screen kind of stuff that we didn't bother with because we had to focus on shooting on our set because we were paying a lot of money in rent. So we really buckled down. We got all that stuff shot so we could move out. And now we're just in somebody's basement doing green screen pickups and stuff for free. So still some of that. We have a pretty heavy schedule going into the end of June here, where we're going to be doing a lot of shooting, all again on green screen. And then hopefully by the beginning of August, all the shooting will be done, 100% shot, and then we can hopefully, I don't know, I can't promise any timeline or anything, but I really want to be done with Pacific in the next few months. All of you who are saying, when are we going to see it? When are we going to see it? It's been years. And I'm like,
freaking relax, people.
it's been years of my time too. So
yeah.
Like I want to see this movie done equally, probably considerably more than most people because it's taking up my time. All y'all have to do is wait. I actually have to.
Well, yeah, listen, I get this, and especially our haters are like, oh, you haven't done anything. It's been 2 years. Well, you know what? First of all, people, we have real lives. You ain't paying me to do this. And I'm paying to do it myself. And I got a life, and I moved across the country, and I bought a house, and I've got I'm doing consulting work, and I'm doing, all other stuff. So dealing with a lot of assholes in my life these days. And it's like, so fucking chill out and relax.
Yeah, it's like, a lot to juggle.
Yeah, it's like people think hey, when you want to pay me $100,000 a year to sit and do nothing but Axanar, you'll get it that year. But if you ain't paying me $100,000,
yeah.
I gotta go out and make a living, and I don't, and I spent 2 hours addressing envelopes to people who hadn't gotten their patches from the Kickstarter. I was like, okay, here we go. There's so much to do, and then we're QAing Ares Digital, and we do, and I'm talking to people about the tech manual, talking about the Ships of Axanar book. It is overwhelming. Plus, I've got, I've got my consulting gig, and now we've got an auction for prop work. So I am overwhelmed. So I'm sorry, people, if you're,
Yeah.
if you're gonna have to wait, but just freaking chill out and wait. And good things come because, because you wait. All right. What I uploaded was the corridor. So
Okay.
now this, I don't know this image. The next image that's going to pop up for you. I've got to adjust the. Hold on one second. I got to adjust the. These are going pretty fast. So let me slow them down. Okay. So all right. So now we're going to get to this one. You just did there's just some amazing work you did on these images, and here's one where a crewman is walking through a corridor.
Yeah, this is a screenshot from TOS that I just painted over. I think this is maybe the first one I did, where we were really digging into like the submarine aesthetic, and which is it's present in Enterprise, but I kind of went heavier than that, and the doors really have like the really tall knee knocker ledges underneath them and that kind of thing. Lots of handrails, kind of low ceilings, because TOS actually has very high ceiling. I mean,
Yeah.
the sets don't have ceilings,
Right.
but the implication is very high ceilings,
Right.
and you can easily kind of create a different space by implying a lower ceiling or adding a ceiling. I don't know if you're willing to do that, but that was the intention behind that.
Oh, we skipped it. We'll get back to this. So here's another concept you had. So we started dealing with bulkheads and started talking about
Yeah.
bulkhead. And listen, I love all the handrails all over the place. And this is one of the challenges I was working through yesterday. It's there's a difference between what you need to do cinematically to sell something and what actually would happen in space. So we know there's no sound in space, but no one wants to listen to a silent movie,
Right.
a silent Star Trek. The other thing is when you're on the bridge and boom, you're shaking because you got hit by phasers. That never will bleed through. That energy will never bleed through if you have inertial dampeners. Because think
Yeah.
of it, you've got to go. You're going to go jump to light speed. Well, what kind of what kind of jolt is that? And you're not
Yeah.
going to feel that. So, but we have to do those things. So there's things we always have to do, and handrails work in the universe. So
Yeah.
here we are looking at some of your designs here, and just start rattling it off.
Well, kind of similar to the approach with the bridge, kind of like adding like those dividers and stuff. That's kind of my approach to the corridors. And the original set has ceiling dividers, and now those functionally serve to occlude your vision of the fact that there's no ceiling, which is a brilliant little tactic. It becomes an iconic part of the set. It's just a cheat for the fact that they didn't build a ceiling. But I kind of thought, okay, we can wrap those all the way down, and some of them were kind of more primitive, kind of like locking shapes together. But I eventually kind of went with a more like a single archway shape that kind of evokes the A-frame shapes that you occasionally see in TOS.
Now, what was this from? This image that's up now. This was some set, and I don't know what this is from.
What the TOS set with like the gray
Yeah.
overhead? I think that's when they were working on the Phase 2 series. They kind of had a similar approach of like updating the original sets.
Got it. That makes sense.
We're probably looking at that for inspiration. But like, yeah, you can see some of these images where it's more of like a cohesive archway that it takes the place of those dividers. Though there's also the dividers. So, and we were talking about adding blast doors at each of those archways. And you see that sort of thing in action in Star Trek VI, where the door comes slamming down, which has some implications for the deck above it. But I mean, you could do anything you want with sciencey technology. But so some of the concepts have the doors sliding in from the sides. Some of them have the imagined door would be in the top. I guess that would be easier for adding to an existing set because you wouldn't be able. There's no room for the doors on the if we're going to be shooting on existing sets.
Right.
But the door coming in from the top is a little less. It makes a little less sense. But
well, also, and now I don't know. This is I don't know what this is from. This is one of our. There are a lot of images we would always pull and share and talk about and say, well, what about this or what about this? So I don't know, but I think a lot of times I think the thing that really worked was when you would put kind of the inserts where the door would slip between two pieces.
Oh yeah,
and those at least sell it. You do it on the door frame, on the you could see like blast doors on each individual door. You did it that.
Yeah.
I think on the next image you've done that. We're back to the guy walking down the hallway, and then you'll do it in. So yeah, here this is great. This image here shows everything that I really liked that you were doing. It shows the slots that the blast doors slide into in the corridor, and it shows on the doorways. It shows extra doors. You can see where those doors fit together.
The idea there would be that they were non-functional. I think that they were just pieces planted to look like there's more door mechanism.
Yeah, exactly.
To kind of like fake the idea of more technology that's not really there. So like the idea was you can see the TOS door there, but then there's an insert that goes in front of it that like adds that visual detail, and it's really just like a it's not like two-dimensional, but like it's just fake. It's window dressing that looks like technology in it.
Exactly.
It adds a lot.
And we'll definitely do that for when we redress the sets. And then definitely, these handlebars just need it planted. And here's another image. Here's another great. Okay, so the image that's on the screen now, that fans are seeing is the one with the blue bulkhead door, which I wasn't crazy about. I really preferred the image that's up now is the one I really prefer. Again, here's another scene where we see handlebars, we see the inserts in the doors, and we see these bulkhead pieces, which I think are going to be really easy for us to render. Just get those CNC'd, and those will be pretty easy to do. Here's with your vertical doors coming down, which like you said, I'm not crazy about that because I'm like, well, where's that door coming from? Because there's not that much room between decks. So I like the side ones. And I also don't like the submarine style knee knockers, as you're calling them, anywhere because I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense. We don't really need
they don't serve a function on a spaceship.
Exactly. So that's it. What was your favorite part of working on Axanar? What is the stuff that you've done that you're either the most proud of or you had the most fun doing?
Well, I think part of it is just seeing designs that I've done come to fruition, which I hadn't really experienced that before. I mean, I've built things myself, but seeing like that whole bridge set materialize and remembering rendering it on my laptop, like, wow, it's just kind of a surreal experience. And there were some other like the captain's quarters that y'all built. Like that was a project I collaborated on with Dean, and like just wow, like that window that I rendered. I'm like, I had no idea how you were going to build that like smooth round window that was based on the window design on the Ares model. Like I don't know, it's just really cool. Just knowing that became a real thing from a three-dimensional render, just very, very rewarding. And I mean, I've yet to see those in person, but I would like to.
Well, and now that the captain's quarters is up.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean,
no, it's great. Now we really just need to dress it. We really need to put down flooring, whatever that flooring is, carpeting. Carpeting is going to be the easiest, and then repaint it and dress it and it's a great set. I've got one of your captain's quarters images here. I'm waiting for some other stuff to download. We're gonna have to roll some of this stuff out again. I mean the nice thing about the bridge is and I love our bridge. I love our bridge because I love as you point out before, I love what we did with Command Well. And the way Dean executed the forward consoles, I thought was awesome. The pilot console looks amazing, and now that we've got all the translights in it, we're going to take the astrogator and put a computer screen in there. And I think because I just think it's so, I just like I just look at it and I go, that just needs to freaking jump out of the off the screen. It's such an important piece. And Dean put monitors in the two forward consoles, tactical fleet ops. We just had cardboard prints
Yeah.
that we had put for Axicon. Those are now computer monitors running off Pis, so Raspberry Pi. So those are all set. So now we're looking at, so now the bridge is getting really, really close to being ready to film on. So when we go in October, I'm sure we're gonna have no problem whatsoever. I'm really excited about that. But so what was your favorite set to work on? Corridor, bridge, captain's quarters, transporter room. What was your favorite?
Well, I really liked. I mean, obviously, I liked the bridge. I liked designing that pilot console. I think that was actually the first thing that you asked me to do, and it was actually like the longest running design because I did designs from the very beginning, but we didn't decide on something we liked until 100 designs later or whatever. But I actually liked working on the transporter room. I thought that was a very interesting challenge because the transporter room to me personally is my least favorite set from the original series. Because I
Huh.
feel like there's so much that could have been done, and it's very like strangely shaped and very blank for such a technological room. Now, again, a lot of that is actually the intention of the original show. People kind of look at those stark walls and think, "Oh, look at the low budget," but like the point was that there was no visible technology. Like it was supposed to be like, "Wow, there's nothing here." That's because it's all hidden away. And the sound design really sells that. You hear all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whirring instruments, but like, where are the instruments? Well, it's futuristic. We don't, that was the point. But it doesn't read that way, at least now. I'm not sure how it looked to original audiences, but to me, I wanted to do a transporter room that really kind of, well, firstly, it had to respect the appearance of the transporter room in TOS, but I also wanted to evoke a far more technological setting. So a lot of my concepts were I added stations and monitors. Like there's not in some of my concepts, there's not just one transporter console. There's like a transporter console and there's like a whole side bay of consoles because I was thinking like in the early days of transporters, which canonically is not the case in Axanar, but earlier days, like you needed a whole team of people to transport somebody and not just one guy with some sliders. Um,
And they kind of ruined that in Enterprise because they got this like tiny
yeah,
little
it's
transporter
it's
console.
even more efficient in enterprise. Yeah, and I object to transporters being an enterprise in general. In Pacific 201, we retconned that transporters are new in Pacific 201, not in enterprise.
I you know
Sorry, we completely destroyed canon, but I just thought it was kind of goofy.
I gotta have you back next month to talk just about Pacific 201. How's that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll gladly talk about it.
Yeah, and then maybe you could bring some footage that we can show. By the way, I got to thank Michael S. Carter. He gave us a $10 super chat. His question was, what kind of versions of phasers have been rendered, or are prototypes in the? Oh, we've posted a bunch of that, Michael, on our website, but I will post it again so you can check it out. So yeah, you can. I will post that stuff because Simon Leeseman did some really wonderful work on that, and so we definitely want to share that. Oh yeah, I'm having a problem. For some reason, okay, let me cancel this download. So some reason I was having a problem. Let me download this, and I'm gonna upload this photo. Let's put this out here. Since we're talking about captain's quarters,
Sure.
let's see this. Let me just do this. Okay, so here I am going to. All right, and let's add this image. And here we go. Let me just pop it in here and resize it a little bit so it fits. And there you go. So here was one of your captain's quarters images. Tell us about this.
Well, this was, I think, the very first design I did for the captain's quarters, and my idea was I had been touring battleships and submarines for Pacific 201 visual research, I think by this time, and the quarters are microscopic on real ships. Uh, and I thought, okay, we're gonna take the layout of like Captain Kirk's quarters, but make it like incredibly small. Uh, so that's what you get there, and you can see like there's the desk and there's like the grate, and then there's the bed behind it. It's the same layout, but it would be like the size of Captain Kirk's closet, you know. And I think there was obviously some objection to, well, how do you shoot in such a pathetically small set, and how do you get the camera behind the actors? You know, it's kind of a nightmare for shooting.
You make the walls. Everything has to fly.
Well, sure, yeah. And I had a little bit of fun with that though, like having the exposed pipes, and then I thought, you know, Captain Kirk's got a wood table. I went for another natural material and did like the black marble table. I thought that'd be kind of like an interesting, uh, like it's the same concept where you have this natural material in an unnatural setting, but it's a completely different material, more dark and, you know, militaristic, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean, it was great, and you know, I like this because it is right, because you're definitely getting the submarine feeling on this, right?
mm-hmm.
You're definitely, and that's great. Ours is obviously a little bigger. The bunk is off to the is kind of off to the left, and we'll have to dig out the other images you did for the quarters.
Yeah, later versions of the quarters incorporated the actual edge of the saucer, where the we actually matched it up to windows on the actual CGI model of the Ares.
Right.
So you can actually find the window pattern that we used on the saucer rim.
That's that's awesome. Yeah, and one of the things when we were putting the quarters together, one of the things we were like, wait, these walls aren't straight. What's going on? And for a second, it took us a little while till we realized, oh, wait a second, they're not supposed to be square. It's a pie. It's a pie
Right.
slice. Like, oh, okay, got it. So, all right. So, let me get rid of this now, and what I'm going to do is, yes, get rid of that, and now we're going to add the transporter, and all right, I'm going to do this and do this. All right, here we go. All right, here are your images, and these are, now we got early transporter consoles, but let me slow this down because it's going by really fast. Okay. So there you go. So there's the transporter. I think one of the things I really enjoyed doing. Oh, and here's the one from that you did that was cage style.
Right. That was I was always trying to like balance those elements. Like, how do we justify both? You know, we have the TOS style and then we have the cage style, and you can kind of you don't really see the back end of it in the cage, and like maybe we can kind of blend the elements and make it work.
Yeah, you know, the thing I really enjoyed doing was talking with you about what the buttons look like, what the console look.
Mm-hmm.
That was always really interesting to me because, and that's where I've all those design books from 2001, and it's just like, you just can't beat 2001. You just look at that stuff and you go, I mean, because there we go. There is 50 years old. It looks as good now as it did when it came out.
Yeah.
Right? You just can't. Everything about that movie is really shocking. But you look at that movie now and you go, you know, if they remade it now, it wouldn't look any better than it does, because the set design was just spectacular, and you just buy everything in that. It just, which is, you know, as I always say, it's what I really have a problem with 2010 was when they kind of they went retro on the American spacesuits, and I'm like, it just didn't fit, and it ruined the whole aesthetic of the movie. okay, so here we go again with this is more the cage style,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, you know, which I like. I mean, you know, it
Yeah,
works.
with that particular design, it's very heavily the TOS helmet navigation console with, obviously some tweaks. Again, it has that backboard that the transporter console has in TOS, but I think it works pretty well. I don't know what you guys eventually wanted to do with the
Right.
transporter room, because I'm not sure if we ever really settled on a final design for the console, but
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. They never got around to making it. This is another great image that you have, which shows the transporter room. And I think one of the things that we talked about is it needs to be a little smaller, right? It needs to be a little tighter.
Mhm.
Again, back to the submarine thing. Here you have handholds again on the console. In this picture, you went totally off the reservation as far as the console goes. You're right. You were like, this was just. I love it. I mean, it's great.
Here you can see like my intent of adding more technology to the transporter room, which other transporter rooms do in Star Trek. So it's not like I came up with this idea on my own. Like the refit Enterprise has a whole bay of
Sure.
computers and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And I kind of took that concept and applied the TOS filter to it. So you just have like a big board of lights on the one side. And I think this concept actually has, it's there it is. It's a row of computers behind there's, the original TOS set, I think sometimes has a monitor behind the station.
Yeah.
And I thought, make a whole station back there where you
Yeah.
have multiple stations in the same, you know, some of these concepts had like actual like rows of chairs and separate, very intense redesigns of the room. This one's a lot more conservative, but still has some of those elements. I think one of the transporter rooms I designed was like, I'm just going to design a transporter room that y'all never saw coming, and I actually moved the transporter pad to the center of the room and had consoles around it looking inward, at like a raised 360-degree platform. Uh, I'm, I think I sent that to you.
Well, we
It's
got to go back and catalog all this stuff because
yeah,
there's so much great stuff that you did. I want to make sure we capture it all and put it all in the book when we do that, because it's certainly, I think this is one of the strengths that we had at Axanar was, we have we had Simon, we had guys like Alexander working on the panels, and Aaron. There's so many great artists, and their stuff. Your stuff needs to be seen. It's really awesome. It's awesome stuff that people need to see and people need to know. Oh, we were doing great work back then, and because I love the people who always say, "Oh, you guys, we got $1 million, you didn't do anything." No, you just didn't see it. How's that?
right. That's true. Yeah.
When people think that you just that one day a movie gets spit out of your camera.
Right.
But there's so much there was so much being done. All right, so and I love these. Here's kind of your multiple your multiple consoles. I mean, again, good. Any of these consoles could have worked in Axanar. I mean, it's not like any one of them. If we put it in, people will go, I don't know. Now, all of the stuff
Right.
that you did, looks great. Okay, and what I want to do now is I want to we're going to remove that. Boom. See ya, and we're going to insert the next one, which is the briefing room.
Oh, very exciting.
Yeah. So let me do that. Let me and add briefing room. All right, and here's briefing room. So tell us about what I don't know if you've see this yet, but tell us. Obviously, again, influences from TOS, but got to make it different.
Yeah, well, my concept with this was we've got that triangular viewer. Why not have a triangular table to go along with the triangular viewer? Because I don't know, I just like that kind of like concentric kind of shape, and
Yeah, I love it.
it really kind of worked, I think. And I eventually redesigned the tri viewer to have uh, that angled. They weren't like it wasn't like a three-sided television. It was more yeah like a lower profile and holographic projector on top because I think the script called for a hologram on the in the briefing room.
Yeah, definitely in the war room. That was in the war room.
Ah, okay.
You
Well,
know, and
I put a
also
hologram.
I don't. Did we? I'm trying to think if we had a briefing room scene or the briefing room morphed into the war room.
That's possible. Yeah.
This is a great image. The one that's up now, I really love it because I think this really captured exactly what you're talking about with triangular table around a triangular viewer, right? And
Yeah. And it's interesting like when you get like there's no element there's no set dressing on that didn't exist in the original series like the triangular viewer and then like the little communications panels like they're just arranged in a way that is believable and modern. You don't have to significantly redesign the elements to make them fit in a modern lens
right.
like the only thing different is the shape of the table, which they could have done in the '60s.
Yep. Yep. No, it looks great. It looks great. All this stuff's fantastic. Well, listen, Eric, it is fantastic having you on. I'm so glad we got the chance to catch up because you were such a driving force of Axanar, and people need to know that. You and I are gonna have to get together and start uploading whatever you got to that Google Drive.
Sure, I'll take a look.
And then maybe some of these we're gonna you and I'll have to pick and choose what we want in the book, and then maybe you can do some high res stuff if possible, if that's at all possible for the book. But yeah, I mean, because there's such great stuff, and people need to see what we were doing back there in 2015, and to really make Axanar look amazing. Now we're just going to see a little less of it. But listen, I'm still committed to the bridge and to the corridor and the captain's quarters. We just need those are things that we need to see, and that's all going to be about converting the TOS sets. Although we have enough flats to build a corridor in our studio, and
Okay.
that may be what the corridor is something we probably. Oh, you know what image I don't have here? I'm gonna have to post it up somewhere. Is your A-frames?
Okay.
Your A-frames were awesome.
I remember that now. Yeah. Part of the idea was to like make it look like it was functional technology, like it had some kind of like anti-radiation function, or yeah. I remember having fun with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and and here, oh God, here it is. Okay. Oh, geez, is this this is you? Okay, so let me before we go out, we're gonna
I think we were kind of competing on that one, so they might not all be my designs.
where no, and this is definitely your design, right here.
Okay.
This image that I have. So let me just upload it to the Google Drive. Boop. And then let me just download it from the Google Drive, and we'll pop up. There it is, and download. Okay. There we go. Let me just move this out because this is a great one. This is a great way to go out as well. Let everyone see this as our last little. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the slideshow, and I'm going to insert our photo here. Oops. Yeah, because I really love this piece. All right, here we go. Let me reduce it in size here a little. Whoop. All right, there you go. That is just I just love it. You pick up the blues again, and it is just a great looking piece.
My like what I don't think I ever said this visually verbally, but I always communicated it visually as the predominant color of TOS is red. And I thought it'd just be really cool to really easily differentiate it with the Enterprise if the predominant color of the Ares was blue.
I remember that conversation.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember us
So
talking about this.
anything that would be red on TOS is blue in Axanar. At least it was in my world. It was, and so I did that in all of the designs. And it wasn't like blue. It wasn't blue the way that the red was red.
Right.
That kind of gray blue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of more muted, less, Yeah, no, it looks great. So this is, I love this image, and I was really looking forward to executing on this. So it might be, if we get the corridor up, then this is definitely something that needs to go in there. So
Make sure you get that frosted reinforced glass.
Yeah.
There. It's my favorite element.
I know, that's great. I know, it is awesome. Well, listen, Eric, fantastic to see you. Let's get you back next month to talk just about Pacific 201.
Yeah, gladly.
And we'll look for, because we're definitely looking forward to seeing that. And it's so funny because I'm so different than everyone else. It's like all my donations to Kickstarter. It's like, if something shows up in my mailbox, great, but I never bitch at any of them. It's like, where's my stuff? It's like, if they send it, they send it. I do it to support the program. So with like Pacific 201, it's like, every time you release something, I'm like, oh, it's awesome, it's great, I'm fired up. It's take your time. It's like hey, Space Command is still going, and you're like, talk about dragging things out. And hey, I'm okay with that. I was talking to Todd Tay about Captain Pike. It's like, when's that dude? I've told him,
wow, yeah.
I told him, dude, you need to finish it, and we'll do whatever it takes to help you finish that show. That's the way I feel about that. So, because he had some great actors working on that show, Eric Roberts, Ray Wise. I mean, it's just like, that needs to come out. So anyway, all right, Eric, thank you so much. We loved having you in. This is a great episode. We are going to do more of this with you, get you back on next month and talk Pacific 201. Any parting shots to our fans?
Thank you all so much for the support. I've been reading your comments. Sorry, I haven't. I didn't feel like I had the authority to type up with.
As a matter of fact, everyone stays around after we shut down the feed. The fans will stay around, so feel free to jump in after.
I guess I could have been commenting this whole time. I could have just been typing right in there.
Yeah, absolutely. You go for it. But we can get off and we can jump in the chat now.
There we go.
And chat. So everyone, thank you, Eric. Thank you, our Axanar fans who we love and adore. You guys are amazing. I got to mention that we did when we did our watch party a couple weeks ago. We showed you a couple trailers, and the Apple trailer, the Apple movie trailer for All Mankind, got our video pulled. It's like, I don't get this, when we're showing your trailer, yet you ding us for copyright because we're showing your trailer. It's like, how it's like CBS did that with Picard, and it's like, really, I'm sorry guys, but. So anyway, I have to say, apropos of nothing we've talked about and nothing that has anything to do with Star Trek, Thomas Crown Affair is back on. I think it's on Cinemax right now. It's going through the cycle again, and it is one of my all-time favorite movies. So you guys all need the new one with Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo and Timothy Leary, Dennis Leary. It's awesome. You guys should check that out. In the meantime, I'm still looking forward to seeing Ford versus Ferrari for All Mankind. There's a lot of good stuff coming out this year. We will see you next Monday. Next Monday, we're going to have to postpone next Monday to Tuesday because the AAU National Championships I'm coaching in are Friday through Monday, so I will not be home till late on Monday, coming back from Orlando. So who knows what time I'm going to be coming back. We will postpone it until next Tuesday. And that is it. Let's jump in the chat. Everyone, thank you. As always, live long and prosper. And one last thing, Pee-wee, who's been sleeping on my lap the whole time. Say bye, Pee-wee. Bye, everyone. We will see you guys next time. And as always, be excellent to others, okay? Cheers.